Thank you to Gamakay for sending out the TK68 HE, or Hall Effect Rapid Trigger Keyboard. Now this is a 65% rapid trigger keyboard, so most people call these the wooting replacements or wooting copy keyboards, but this has all of the technology that you can expect within one of these particular keyboards, and it's only $79. These are the type of keyboards that make people mad when Logitech comes out with kind of a basic keyboard for $150 because these are so packed with technology. Let's jump into it. As always, honest and transparent review. Comes with a very nice cable in white. Comes with a keycap and switch puller. The keycap's font, to me, I like it. It's nice and clear and visible. There is 3 levels of height. It's 2 levels pulling from underneath, and then it is the base level. The USB-C cable plugs into the left, on, off, and then your 3 different ways of connecting, 2.4 wireless and Bluetooth. My personal take on the keyboard. So just looking at the aesthetics of the keyboard, looking at the design layout of the keyboard and kind of, the white and blue and light blue kind of color scheme that it has here. This is a gaming keyboard with the best gaming technology that you can get, which is the dynamic keystroke, the adjustable actuation points, the rapid trigger switches, all of those things, magnetic Hall effect switches, all of those things. But it looks like a regular standard keyboard. That's one thing that's really nice, especially for my type of desk setup, because this main desk that I have, I typically use it for productivity and for work. I work from home, and so sitting this in front of my desk, it's not distracting. And this is a very clean board. It has north-facing RGB, and if you look at the plate here, you can see it's really smooth on the edges there. I mean, it's just really well designed, especially for this price range. Looking at the stabs on this, I mean, they can be lubed a little bit better, but they're not noisy and they're not like shaky or rattly. But I definitely think you can add your own lube to them and make them a little bit more solid. Taking the switches out, it still takes a second to get used to not seeing holes for the pins there for your typical switches. But again, your north-facing RGB and then your very clean looking PCB, right? The RGB on this is very subdued and kind of low. It is a north-facing keyboard, as I said earlier, north-facing RGB. And with that, it's not distracting at all. So in my typical day-to-day work environment, these are actually Mercury linear switches, but they're not loud switches. Now looking at the switches here, there's 2 different switches that you can get for this particular board. Both of them, of course, are magnetic. This one is the linear switch here. They're linear Mercury switch, and this is a 4 millimeters of travel, 48 grams of force, 40 grams minimum force and 60 grams maximum force. If you watched my review on the TK68 HE, then you'll be familiar with this software, but this is their software suite that allows you to completely customize this keyboard. Now keep in mind, this is the rapid trigger style keyboard, so that means every freaking technology that's available for a keyboard you're going to find within this one. Rapid trigger is basically something that allows you to press and depress keys and get multiple actions at one particular time. So dynamic keystroke is what they call it. This allows you to program up to 4 different strokes or 4 different actions to each key. Your function keys, there's certain amounts of different types of functions you can add to that function button plus, and then the rest of those keys are completely customizable. You can also control the lighting in this software, but the customization or the ability to share profiles is one of the best I've seen in any community. Gamakay's community is very active, and I've said this now on 3 straight videos. As far as the software itself, it's very easy to update the software and upgrade the firmware on your keyboard if it needs it. At the end of updating upgrading your firmware in your keyboard, you're going to want to run a calibration to make sure that the keys are set to the right heights and things like that when you're programming the actions. But that's pretty much an overview, and the software is amazing. I've actually used this on my desk for a while now. The reason is I was a little under the weather, and so I have not been able to create a lot of content, and because of that, I didn't switch out any keyboards on my desk. So this has actually been on my main desk for now over a month at this point. And I actually do like it. I like the size. I like how small it is. The battery life is okay. Like, I typically will have it plugged into my PC through the USB-C, but in the moments that I've taken it off, right, A day or so, it's dead because of the RGB being at its brightest and things like that. And when I say a day and a half, couple days, 2.5 days, it's because I use the keyboard from the morning to after midnight. Like I'll work from my desk all day on the keyboard, heavily use the keyboard throughout the day. I'm on G chats, Google chats, and different stuff like that all day long at my job. And so I am using the keyboard. It's not just sitting there as a accessory on my desk. There's probably maybe 5 minutes in between the times that I don't use my keyboard. So when I say it lasts a day and a half, I mean a day and a half to 2.5 days, it's heavy use. I use my keyboard all day. And so with that being said, about 2.5 days of battery use. And again, it's not a big problem for me because this is my main desk. I have cables all over the place that I can plug into it and charge it. I've never ran into a situation where I've run out in the almost 2 months that I've had this keyboard sitting at my desk. Are there any drawbacks that I think this keyboard has? And I really can't say that they are drawbacks. I want to say these are design elements. So it's north facing RGB, which means the RGB is facing away from me. And in this type of layout where the keys are pretty tight knit or tight grouped, there's not a lot of space for that RGB to shine through. Even if the switches are shine through switches where they have the little windows to let the light shine through, unless the room is dark. When the room is dark, the RGB is okay. But during the daytime, especially when I have my studio lights and things like that up, you can't really see the RGB. So again, that's not a gripe. That's their design choice, and that's what allows the price to be where it's at. I would like for it to be south-facing RGB like the other keyboard that they have. And then outside of that, like the battery life, like I said, it's so-so. Keeping in mind that I am a heavy aggressive user, and so I can't really complain about that because I do put my keyboards through the ringer in regards to like me using them throughout the day for work, productivity, then editing in the evening, and then gaming, you know, when I get some free time. So I really can't complain about the battery life. Your mileage is going to vary based on how you use your keyboard, and you know, I use mine a lot. At $79 for a 65% keyboard, I think this is like a sweet spot. I think that if you're gonna buy like a big box keyboard, you're gonna go get the wooting or something like that where it may have a little better switches, may be a little bit more solid of a build, and yeah, you know, but you're gonna pay for that. And it's only gonna be to say that you have the wooting, but unless you're a professional gamer, you know, this is a rapid trigger keyboard. So you have everything you need in order to be competitive. You know, if you're getting paid for this and you're on TV and you're, you know, on YouTube and you're sponsored by brands, maybe you go out and get a better keyboard. But for 95% of us and then 3% more, like, I think that this keyboard is all you really need. And I think it's more than what the majority of us ever actually need. Like, I may set, you know, my actuation points and things like that once or twice, but I'm a casual gamer on a day-to-day basis, and so something like this, if I had to actually jump into a competitive match, like this allows me to perform at that level, I just don't do it every day. And so something like this is even overkill for me. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Yes, $79, you can get all of this technology in a really nice looking and feeling keyboard. And if you like today's content, consider subscribing and joining the Cozy Coalition, hitting that subscribe button below. Put some content right here if you want to watch more videos. I got a bunch of different playlists that you can jump through. But as always, stay cozy in that crazy world, and I will see you in the next video. Peace.